What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466 Cards, and today we're going to talk about getting lucky. No, not that kind of getting lucky. We're going to talk about possibly making a case to rip 2018 Prizm Basketball and chase the Luka Doncic Black Prizm 1 of 1. We're going to walk through the math behind whether or not this makes sense. As you may know, and maybe perhaps you don't, the Luka Black Prizm 1 of 1 from his rookie year 2018, it's never been seen before. Where it sits, nobody knows. Maybe it's in wax that's not been ripped yet. Maybe some kid threw it away. Maybe it's sitting in someone's private collection and they've just held it as their own little secret for the past 6 years or 5 years or maybe even 2 years. Maybe they just ripped it, a couple years ago. No one knows. And so the math behind it starts off with this from a year ago now. So this, as you can see here at the bottom here, this is from February of 2023. There is a $1.5 million bounty on it from Shine, who, based off of who he is, I'd like to think that that's a pretty solid bounty that still exists today. And I'm now going to walk you through the math to see the numbers behind it and whether or not it makes sense to rip 2018 Prizm Basketball. So the first thing that you need to know, besides the $1.5 million bounty, is how much does a box of Prizm Hobby cost? Well, it's roughly $3,200 based off what you're seeing on the screen. So that's pretty pricey. It's pretty pricey. If you were to buy a box, though, you're not just going to get a chance at the Black Prizm 1 of 1, Luka Doncic. You're going to get a chance at all the other Luka Doncic cards from Prizm that year, right? The problem is you're not going to get a lot of low-numbered stuff because the Nebula, it's already been pulled. There's no Black Shimmer that year. The Black Golds out of 5, well, guess what? They're already 5 in the pop report. And let me just pause here and say this is, again, GemRate's universal pop report, pop count report, whatever you call it, where it brings together all the numbers from PSA, Beckett, SGC, and CGC. And this is a perfect use case for GemRate. So again, shout out to them. You can see how many cards have been graded across all 4 of these grading companies. So looking at Black Gold Prizm, there's been 2 at PSA and 3 at Beckett. So unless they've been resubbed, those are out the window. These shimmers are out of 7. Well, there's 7 light blue shimmers, there's 9 blue shimmers, and 10 red shimmers, and those are all out of 7, so they're out the window. Gold Prizm, well, this must be a case of resubbing because there's only 10 gold Prizms, and yet this one, there's 13 in the pop report. The bronze, the fast break bronze, it's out of 20, and there's 24 in the pop report. The Mojo is out of 25, and there's 36 in the pop report. So you can see there's already been a lot of subs. If these have already not been fully all pulled, we're getting pretty close to it, right? So that suggests that you're not going to get many, or you won't get a high chance of pulling a low-numbered Luka card. What about SGA, the other big star from the class of 2018? The same thing. Black Prizm pulled, Nebula pulled, Green Choice, I believe that's out of 5. Out of 5 in the pop report. The Neon Green, out of 5, 6 in the pop report. The Shimmer, it's out of 7, there's 6 in the pop report. So there might be a chance there. Black Gold's out of 5, 7 in the pop report. This Shimmer is out of 7, there's 9 in the pop report. Gold Prizm, there's 10 in the pop report, and there's 10 for golds. This Shimmer, it's out of 7, there's 12 in the pop report. Fast Break Bronze, 20 in the pop report, well, it's out of 20, so on and so forth, right? So SGA cards, probably not going to get a lot. So you're probably not likely to get much of your money back if you're ripping this product. So now let's do the actual math. We know there's a $1.5 million bounty. We know it's $3,200 a box. Like I said, you're unlikely to get a lot of value back from that box. You're not going to get any low-numbered stuff. So I think on average, $400 worth of cards from ripping a box, and that's only if you get a Luka or a Shea or, like, I don't know, some low-numbered LeBron or Steph Curry or something. But chances are you're making just a tiny fraction of what you're getting back. So let's just say that means your net cost, right? If you get $400 worth of cards, you're netting out at $2,800 per box. And so that gives you a break even of $535. You're just dividing 1.5 million by 2800. And so what this is really saying is if you're able to figure out how many boxes of 2018 Prizm Basketball hobby, right? No blasters, no jumbos or whatever cello packs, just hobby and first off the line. If you're able to figure out how many boxes are out there and you can calculate that number and you somehow get to the conclusion that it's less than 535, then you should rip it, because there's 535 boxes worth of money in the bounty. 2,800 times 535. And so the real question now is, how do you calculate how many boxes are out there? To that I say, other people might know better than me. I don't rip wax, I don't open boxes, it's not a thing I do. So you might need to go on blowout forums, you might need to check on eBay to see how many are listed, check on PWCC, how many are listed on in their marketplace. Maybe Golden has some, Heritage, who knows, right? Like all these fixed price places, My Slabs. I don't know the best way to calculate how many boxes are still out there. But based off of what I showed you from the pop report for the low numbered SGA and Lukas, given how many have already been ripped, I can't imagine that the number is very large. So now, whether large or not large, who knows? Is that 1,000 or is that 100? I don't know. And I didn't even bother trying because I know if I did it, I would fail spectacular. So I'm not even going to try and do that for you. I'm going to leave that up to you. But if you are able to estimate the number, at least broadly, and it's way lower than 535, then there is a case to be made that you should buy them and rip them and maybe get the one of one Luka. But that's not the only thing. There are cheaper options. These are prices that I found when it went to market at an auction from November to December of 2023. You can see it is significantly lower than $3,200. It's right around $3K. You can see this one at Pristina was well under $3K. And so maybe you can buy them for cheaper, and that means that that breaking number actually goes higher. And also, what if you negotiate with Shine, instead of getting 1.5 million, you're able to get a little bit more money? What if you are able to negotiate them up to 1.8 million or even 2 million, if you believe you could do that? And again, I don't know if you can. And so these are the different scenarios, right? If you can get the bounty of 1.5, it's these numbers. 1.8, it's these numbers. 2 million, it's these numbers. And also, if you're able to buy the boxes, maybe you're somehow able to get these in bulk, and you can net out to paying 3K or even less rather than 3,200. Well, then the numbers now change, where instead of 535 boxes being out there for it to be a good idea, it's now less than 769 boxes if you believe you can negotiate them up to 2 million. Or if you still believe in the 1.5 million bounty, but you're able to buy some boxes at auction and you're able to get them at 3K instead of 3,200, now the number that you need to calculate in terms of how many boxes are out there, it needs to be 576 or less, right? And that's the math. The math is not conclusive because it depends on one very important variable. How many boxes remain unripped out in the wild? And that's a number I can't tell you, but this is the analysis of how we got to these numbers of what the break-even point is, right? And we've done this math, but there is one key assumption you must make to even make this at all relevant, and it's that you must believe that the Luka Black Prizm 101 has not already been pulled. Because if it's already been pulled, then you are just looking for fool's gold at this point. And this is one where that's your own personal judgment. I will say, however, given what I showed you before in terms of the amount of other cards pulled, all of the SGA cards and all the other Luka low-numbered cards, all of those have already been pulled and sent to the graders. And so that suggests the odds of the Luka Black Prizm not being pulled is pretty low. And so you have to weigh that in your mind if you're about to do this exercise. Do you believe that the Luka Black Prizm has already been pulled? The numbers would suggest that the odds are against it still being inside a box, a pack somewhere. But it's still possible, right? It's still possible. So that's the analysis. I'm not here to tell you whether you should rip or not rip because I don't want to get sued. And I'm not here to give you financial advice. I just thought this was an interesting topic given all the discussion about Prizm wax prices today, Wemby mania, black, people are looking for the Black Prizm, Wemby, the Nebula Wemby, all that kind of stuff, right? So would love to hear your thoughts and comments. What do you think about the math that I put here? Do you believe the Luka Black Prizm 101 is still out there from 2018 Prizm? I'd like to think, just like, maybe this is just like the pure-hearted hobbyist in me, but I like to think that it's still out there. It's still waiting to get discovered in a pack, in a box, in a case somewhere. But only time will tell, as they say. As we do sometimes on this channel, I'm going to preview the next one, and this one is a very different video. I'm going to talk about how I'm using research to help build my personal collection, my PC, and how I'm using it to just be a collector and collect the cards that make me happy. So that'll be for next time. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching. I will talk to you all soon. Cheers.